They're concentrating on a Coke can, and after a while, I personally, I get a little more relaxed and more meditative if I can close my eyes, so that once you have a good picture of the Coke can, you can visualize the Coke can in your mind, and then just by closing your eyes, you actually change your brainwave patterns. And so it makes you more relaxed just by closing your eyes. And then it's very possible, if you get into a comfortable place to do your relaxation, even with your fingers or your breath, that you may end up asleep into that. I know at 3 o'clock in the morning, I often use my meditative practice to try to get myself to sleep. And I deliberately intended to go to sleep at that point. I'm just saying, okay, well, then I'm going to try to, all this other stuff that's going in my mind, all the other things at work or whatever, I'm going to try to eliminate those by breathing and concentrating on my breath. Or sometimes, during the meditation that I do, that we do the muscle the tensing and relaxing of the muscles, well, I'll use that at 3 o'clock in the morning when I'm trying to get back to sleep, and oftentimes that puts me into because I'm doing what I normally do to get into a meditative state, it relaxes me to a point that I get into sleep again.
So I shouldn't worry about that too much?
No, not at all. We're talking about walking meditations and how to just let your mind wander.
The thing is with what meditation is, by a lot of definitions, is a state of focused concentration. And that focus can be almost anything that allows the rest of your mind to relax, which means it can be a sensory input, such as walking, which is an activity. If you're in a surrounding that you can fully focus on, the rest of your mind can relax and open up to whatever higher or lower inflow you want. I heard you mention about the dangers of falling asleep in meditation when you get too comfortable. This is why I do most of my meditations without walking, because I would get so comfortable after a while that I would be in la-la land, not wishing to come back.
Sure, it would take me less than 5 minutes during my lunch break. I can kick back with my little headphones on and start listening to the guided meditation, and a half an hour later, it's bringing me out of it.
Well,
I feel good.
The fact that it's bringing you out of the meditation itself, this is another one of those things, depending on what you wish the meditation for. You don't have to be conscious for it. If it's a guided meditation for stress reduction, there's a tape that a long time ago I've used for over 2 years, which has helped me a lot, by Brian Weiss. And then a couple of friends asked me to play it for them, but with me being awake, because they felt, uncertain of what might happen otherwise. So for the first time ever, I listened to the tape without going into it, and I noticed that there were 20 minutes that in 2 years I've never remembered. So it's a very common thing, but sometimes when we don't have the leisure of going out on a walk or stuff like that, sometimes if you exercise, if you have light dumbbells, the up and down motion can be used. If you have a picture or something in your room that you can focus on and just really allow everything outside of it to drain away, that is also a concentrated focus. And actually you might find some really interesting visual effects as you slip through different modes of perception, just focusing on an image. It can be a tree, it can even be a sound. I mean, we have this little fountain, and just especially for people who wish to do the meditation in order to calm down or stop racing thoughts. A fountain, a little water fountain allowing us to just focus on the flowing water, can help us relax. On the other hand, it can also focus our attention on our bladders. Has happened before with me. Something else that I've, especially for people that really have severe problems letting go physically and emotionally, a shower meditation. It sounds kind of strange, but I've, by accident, discovered that one for myself. Was having a really bad night with not being able to sleep and racing thoughts, and my mind was exhausted, so there was no mental way for me to concentrate or focus on anything, and the subconscious was just like a little choo-choo train, and I needed to do something to focus away from the little choo-choo train, or the big choo-choo train. So I stepped underneath the shower and just turned it on lightly as if it was rain, and turned off the light and stood underneath there and just focused on the feeling of the water just washing over me. And after a while, without having to think too hard, I got a feeling of it washing all the gunk and the racing thoughts away, because it was much easier to focus on something I could feel rather than just relying on my mind itself. Worry stones. You have something here. I mean, if you have something in your hand, that gives, quite literally, it gives both your body and your mind something to hold on to in your meditation. So that might also be a benefit. Did you talk about the vibrations of different materials and how they relate to our energy vibrations?
No, we haven't talked about that yet.
No, because Mike mentioned how, in terms of the distance healing and the symbols, how every physical, every emotional state, you could say, has a certain vibration to it. A person under a lot of stress or with a lot of injuries will have a different vibration than somebody who is really calm, very healthy. And basically what any sort of distance healing is trying to accomplish is to get the other person in touch with their healthier vibration state. Because when you do that, the body was like, oh, look, my vibration changed, I better implement the changes accordingly. But different objects, geometries, symbols, materials also have their own unique vibrations. This is why they say some substances are good for this, some are good for concentration. Certain geometrical shapes allow us to be more focused and work-oriented, while others allow us to be more calm. And that's simply because these shapes or these materials have certain vibrations associated with them. If they're crystals, you can think of it as they have a very specific molecule arrangement that somehow oscillates in a certain frequency that is conducive to whatever the crystal is. I mean, I don't think we have ever had anybody who picked up a piece of selenite and said, ooh, that makes me itchy, or that makes me... It's a very soothing material. So, at least, I mean, I've never... Have you ever? No, I don't...
It's one of the few that almost all the other stones, there's been somebody along the way that had an adverse reaction to it.
Yeah.
But selenite's one that I've never heard anybody say they had an adverse reaction to.
And it probably has to do with that because each and every one of us has our own individual frequency as well. Just our personality, our soul, whatever you want to call it. So that some of the materials we will respond well to, others of the materials will not. But selenite is kind of like a Swiss Army knife.
My friend's had that itchy feeling. I put it to his head actually, and he's like, "God, it's bugging me. It's starting to get itchy." And started messing with his head too. I mean, a little lightheaded like it normally would if you put it towards somebody's head, but also maybe kind of have an itchy feeling. It wasn't touching his face, but it just itchy around his eye, like.
Is selenite did that?
Yeah, selenite, yeah. And it's multi-purpose. It is a Swiss Army knife.
Wow. So the sad thing is, so if you ask somebody what is the right thing for me, they will literally tell you, you have to experiment around with it, and you have to be your own judge. Your own response to the things will tell you what is right for you and allows you to grow in a healthier way. You know, if a million gurus or swamis or reverends tell you this is great, you try it and it makes you feel worse, stop doing it. It's important, like Mike said, our own inner spirit, our own inner light is what tells us, okay, this is good for us, this is, well,